Welcome to the deep dive. We got some really interesting material looking at Bangladesh and that huge political shift in mid-2024.
Yeah, the Monsoon Revolution. It's Sheikh Hasina's Awami League government, which had been in power for, what, 15 years? Ousted? Pretty
It
dramatic.
really was. And the trigger was surprising, wasn't it? These student protests back in June 2024.
Uh-huh. Over the High Court reinstating that 30% quota in government jobs for descendants of freedom fighters, something that had been scrapped back in 2018.
Right. But it snowballed so quickly, didn't it? It went
Huh?
way beyond just quotas.
Absolutely. It tapped into this much broader frustration across the country.
Yeah.
You know, economic problems, corruption concerns, human rights issues, democratic space shrinking, all of it.
And the government's reaction, well, it didn't help them. Mass arrests, shutting down the internet, even using lethal force.
Terrible. Hundreds killed.
Yeah.
And like you said, it just backfired. It seemed to galvanize the whole movement instead of suppressing it.
Which led to Hasina resigning and flying to India on August 5th.
Exactly. And then this interim government gets formed, headed by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus, sworn in August 8th, promising reforms, new elections.
And this is where the main opposition, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, the BNP, comes back into the picture, right? After years of repression boycotting elections.
Yeah, it's like a phoenix moment for them, suddenly finding themselves in this political vacuum, arguably the largest organized force left standing.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, figuring out how the BNP is navigating this, their strategy, how they're dealing with the interim government, what's happening inside the party, and their international game.
Well, initially, back in July 2024, the BNP came out strongly, supporting the student protesters against the government's violence.
I remember seeing statements from Tarique Rahman, their acting chairman from exile. He was praising the students, denouncing Hasina.
And calling for BNP supporters to get behind the movement. Their student wing, the JCD, also got involved.
Although the government at the time was accusing the BNP and Jamaat-e-Islami of infiltrating the protests.
Right, but some data, like from ACLE up to mid-July, suggested maybe their early involvement wasn't actually that widespread. It seemed more student-led initially.
Interesting. But after Hasina was actually ousted, their tune changed a bit.
Yeah, you saw a strategic shift. They started tempering this sort of revolutionary talk and focusing more on, well, stability and getting to elections.
Makes sense. Prioritizing an electoral path where their existing party structure gives them an advantage, perhaps?
Probably. Distancing themselves maybe from some of the more radical reform demands that came out of the protests, focusing on a roadmap they feel they can win.
So how is their relationship with the interim government, the Yunus government?
Started quite positively. You know, they welcomed it. BNP leaders attended the swearing-in back in August. Mirza Fakhrul even called for national vigilance to support the interim government against conspiracies.
But things got a bit tense.
Yeah, friction started growing over the election timeline. The BNP wants elections, maybe end of 2025. The interim government is stressing the need for reforms first.
Which could push polls back, maybe even into 2026.
Potentially. And you've had figures like Rizvi and even Tarique Rahman again criticizing these delays, questioning the whole reform process. It's selective engagement, really.
How so?
Well, they seem to support reform ideas that align with their interests or past platforms. Things like a bicameral parliament, maybe more reserved seats for women, judicial independence.
Okay, things they might benefit from or generally agree with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then they push back on other things, like term limits for the prime minister, or changing the state name, or giving the election commission more power, perhaps. Anything that might dilute their potential future power or just slow down the election.
A calculated approach, then. Supporting what helps, resisting what hinders or delays. What about inside the party? Is it all still run by Tarique Rahman from London?
Pretty much seems that way. He's the acting chairman, presiding over meetings virtually. His acquittal in those grenade attack cases late last year definitely fueled talk about him returning.
Though there are still questions about his legitimacy, right? Past allegations, the bond he supposedly signed.
There are those questions, yes, though he contests the bond issue. But internally, they are trying to restructure, shuffling committees, bringing in some younger faces, dissolving some units. They had a big meeting with grassroots leaders recently focused on elections.
But they still face criticism about internal democracy, don't they? Like, hardly any national councils held.
That's a long-standing criticism, yeah. Only one in over 2 decades, apparently.
Yeah.
They do have their own 31-point reform plan, covering constitutional changes, economic stuff. But they need to work on their image, address those old corruption perceptions.
And what about their relationship with Jamaat-e-Islami? That's always been complicated.
Very. It was a pragmatic alliance for years, but the BNP formally dissolved that partnership post-Hasina end of August 2024.
Why the split now?
Seems like disagreements on several fronts. The election timing. Again, Jamaat possibly wanting more radical reforms first. Clashing narratives over the 1971 war. Just general strategic divergence. Maybe who gets credit for the changes.
So breaking with Jamaat, is that good or bad for the BNP?
Bit of both, probably.
Yeah.
It might help them shed some negative baggage, appeal to a broader audience, but they also lose a dedicated voting bloc and maybe face new competition for conservative votes.
And internationally, they seem to be doing a lot of outreach.
Oh, definitely. Post-August, they've been meeting with everyone, US, EU, UN, UK, India, focusing on the democratic transition, pushing for those elections.
How's the India relationship looking? That's always been tricky for the BNP.
It has. There's been historical strain and a perception India backed Hasina. Plus, there's quite a bit of anti-India sentiment after the change. But the BNP seems to be trying to signal a desire for a more balanced relationship based on mutual respect. You saw statements trying to mend fences.
Okay, so summing up, it really is a phoenix moment for the BNP. They're in a strong position, maybe the strongest they've been in years.
No doubt. The political field is wide open for them. But winning an election is one thing. Achieving lasting legitimacy, that's another challenge entirely.
They've got hurdles. Leadership perception, keeping the party united, that historical baggage,
Yeah.
connecting with the youth who drove the revolution.
Exactly. And navigating this complex transition with the interim government, managing expectations. But the opportunities are huge too. Public desire for change is clearly there.
So I guess the final thought for you, listener, is this. Can the BNP truly break free from its past? Can it deliver the kind of systemic change people seem to be demanding in the Monsoon Revolution?
Or will it end up being, history repeating itself, just with a different party in charge?
Mhm.
Whether this Phoenix moment leads to real lasting change. Well, that's the big question hanging over Bangladesh right now.